For the Speaker Designate and the House Minority Leader, what do you think is the right thing to do about Matt Shea, and what do you think will happen to Matt Shea in the upcoming session?
Well, I'll start out because the Speaker was looking at me. The House Republican Caucus took immediate action, and we applied all of the sanctions that were available to us immediately. There are many sanctions that can be applied by the majority if they choose to do that, and I'm sure that there's an appetite on their part to express their displeasure.
Matt Shea should resign, and if he does not resign, he should be expelled. I cannot expel him without a supermajority vote. I very much appreciate the work that JT has done with his caucus on implementing sanctions. And JT and I, this is probably the thing that we talk about the most, and we talk a lot, and we are working hard to move together. I don't know how this will, I don't know, Jerry, how this is going to end up, or Jim, sorry. But I do think that the writers of the Constitution definitely considered circumstances in which it would be appropriate to expel a member. Otherwise, they wouldn't have given the House the authority to do that. And it's hard to imagine a finding of domestic terrorism not rising to that level. But again, we're going to have to keep on working together. I don't have a prediction about it, and I am not the queen. So this is a matter for the whole House. It's an institutional matter for us to consider.
Representative Wilcox, is there any circumstance in which you would allow Representative Shea back into the caucus?
One of the flaws in the process currently is Representative Shea chose not to participate in the investigation. And so to that extent, it's missing information. And if he were to be able to be totally exonerated, I don't know what that process looks like, but a total exoneration means that we would have to re-examine everything that we've done.
Actually, my question is on that subject as well. For Representative Wilcox, why should Republicans tolerate him at all? Why would any of your members be reluctant to vote to expel him? And for Representative Jinkins, aren't there also Democrats who are willing to tolerate him? And why would any of your Democratic members tolerate somebody described as a domestic terrorist? Representative Wilcox.
Well, I want to make it plain first. He's not a House Republican. He has been suspended from the House Republican caucus. He has no official contacts with us. And so, no, we don't tolerate the allegations that are contained in the investigation, and we made that very plain immediately, and I called on him to resign. I think that inside the chamber, we have, as legislators and as caucuses, the absolute right to set standards about how people behave in the chamber. Whether or not you're in the chamber is up to the people that vote. And I think we also have a duty to continually tell people that your vote matters. And it's up to the voters to decide who's going to be in the chamber.
So are there no circumstances where a representative should be expelled for their behavior, even someone described as a domestic terrorist?
Well, I could easily imagine that after a conviction, absolutely. And in the one time in the, I think, 130-year history of the state of Washington that there's been an expulsion, that followed a conviction.
So Representative Jinkins, your members, and should Representative Shea get a pass because he didn't participate in the investigation?
No. No, I mean, the behavior is repugnant. I don't know who and I think that the members of my caucus find it to be so. And I just want to highlight one of the other things that Representative Wilcox and I really agreed to, even before we knew the results of the investigation, is that freedom, someone's speech, no matter how much we disagree with it, is protected, and we should never take action based on speech and speech alone. This investigation showed some speech, but it actually showed action, and action is the thing that I think the investigators found, connected to the finding of domestic terrorism. So I want to be clear that this is not based on disagreeing with Representative Shea's viewpoints. It's his actions that put our entire institution and many people in the state of Washington and in the West Coast at risk, and that's what that investigation showed. It takes bipartisan support to do an expulsion, Essex, so we would have to make sure that we had the votes to do that. So, I mean, I don't know how to respond to your question any other way than to say that.
Speaker, are you planning to hold any kind of hearings or fact-finding publicly in order to sort of build a consensus on whether to go forward with an expulsion vote? Because you only have 60 days here.
Yeah, I think, first of all, I have to have a conversation with my caucus about that and about kind of where they're at and the different options that are available before we would do that. It is true that if we decided to go forward on an expulsion, that would require us to set up a process in order to do that. It's not as simple as just saying, hey, we're going to expel somebody and there will be a motion on the floor and we'll vote on it and we'll be done. So it will require, if that's the direction that we move in, it would require us setting up some processes, because Representative Shea deserves to get yet another chance to be heard if he so chooses.